There are so many different directions I can go with this video. I'm going to try to address all the points, but let me start by saying one thing. If a child attacks a parent, like if the boy had attacked the father, or the boy had issued a challenge saying, I'm the man of the house and I'm going to beat you up. If the boy had made any threatening gestures or threatening movements, or had threatened the father in any way first, and then the dad gave him a boxing education, then I think the dad would have been within the rights to have been perfectly fine, and then that would have actually been parental discipline. But what I'm talking about is the video where the dad boxes the son for skipping school. Beating the boy up for skipping school to the point where he's bleeding for skipping school, no. That is not discipline. I'm sorry. That's not discipline. That is straight up abuse. And I don't think he can get away with using the excuse that it's a boxing family. Because I technically have a martial arts family. And I never use the martial arts to punish the kids. And along that vein, let me say this. See, this is why I tell people that they should cross-train in a grappling art and a striking art. You don't have to get a black belt in both if you're really just doing self-defense. But if you're going to set yourself up as some type of teaching father, saboom, or teaching parent, then I think it would be a good idea for you to get a black belt in both. I know, depending on where you live at, that could be difficult because not every area is a DC area where they got like tons of martial arts schools. If they don't have martial arts schools, you can go down to the rec center, and if you dig hard enough, you're going to find a grappling art and a striking art. So I know not everybody can do that, but if it's possible, you should learn some restraining techniques that you have to use in case a child gets out of hand. Now, what I mean by out of hand is, you know, if you have to hold the child down to keep him from hurting himself, or, you know, some kids experiment with drugs, they could be on something and going crazy, and then you have to restrain them, or something like that. If they, you know, have a mental problem, they have a psychotic break with reality or something, then you might have to restrain them. But if all you know how to do is hit, see, it's just like if the only tool you have in your toolbox is a hammer, everything is a nail. And he certainly nailed that boy all up in his face. Now, everybody wants to talk about parental discipline, right? And one of the excuses that people give when you read enough along in the threads, it's, my mother beat us like that and we turned out fine. See, this is something I think a lot of people miss who were raised by their mothers. Yes, I was raised by my mother. Don't come at me. Don't come at me. All right? If you are a man, you cannot beat a child like your mother beat you because you are stronger than your mother. In 99% of the cases, you are stronger than your mother. It might take 10 of your mother's hits to equal one of yours. So you cannot just lose it and wail on the kid like your mother may have lost it and wailed on you. Now, she may have been hitting you as hard as she could, and nothing seriously happened to you because that's female strength. If you are a man, you have male strength. You are a lot stronger than the average woman. So you cannot beat your kids like your mother beat you. You're going to have to show some restraint, because if not, you could end up making a child bleed or even killing the child. Now, I know the exception police is coming, and yeah, I remember a time I saw a woman hit a kid so bad that the kid bled. But you know what happened? No, that was a mistake. That was an accident. And when it happened, I could tell that she stopped. That was an accident. Putting on the boxing gloves and saying that you're going to teach the child how to fight in self-defense at the same time you're disciplining the child, you're sending two conflicting messages. See, because I have trained my children in martial arts You cannot run that argument by me and have me buy it. I'm not going to buy it, okay? I know that you don't have to do that. You save the combat sport or martial art for that, for its purpose of self-defense and exercise. And if you want to use corporal punishment, you spank, maybe with a belt or with a hand, but you spank. Punching the kid in the face with boxing gloves on is not spanking. That's not discipline. That's not corporal punishment. That's assault and battery. That's why the cops came out to the house. The cops didn't come out to the house because they just want to throw another black man in jail. Okay? When the system wants to lock one of us up, they don't have to resort to anything like that. They can just put, people don't like to accept the reality that technically they can just, a cop, could just take you. And, even if it's a wrongful arrest, they can come get you. So don't get it twisted. If somebody powerful enough wanted to abuse their power against you, they can just manipulate their subordinates to come and get you. Okay? So don't act like Child Protective Services only came because it was a black father. And it's Virginia. And it has to be racist because it's a black guy in Virginia. No, they came because you posted yourself on Facebook committing a crime. That's why Child Protective Services came. And that's why the father in that video is looking at some jail time. Because he broke the law. Here is my test for all of you who have, if you haven't clicked out by this point, if you want to, accuse me of being some type of person who just hates the idea of disciplining children, and my children must just be terrible people, and I'm just a terrible man, or I'm a soft man, or I'm a wimpy man, I have no business. Let's say, you feel that I don't have any business being a martial arts instructor or being a parent. Here's my litmus test. Let's change the gender of the child. How would you feel if he had beat his daughter like that for doing the same thing? One more time. How would you feel if he had beat his daughter like that for doing the same thing? Yeah, you'd have a different tune, wouldn't you? If he can't beat his daughter to the point of where she's bleeding out of the nose, he shouldn't be able to beat his son to the point where he's bleeding out of his nose, especially in that particular instance where he's got at least 100 pounds on the son. Now, somebody else has said in another video that by the time a boy is 17 years old, he should be able to beat up his dad. That would only hold true if the dad and the son are roughly the same size, and the dad and the son have the same level of fighting skill. Then the boy's youth is going to kick in and be an advantage. My son at 17 years old could not beat me up, and he was in a lot better shape than I am. A lot. He played football for a state championship team, and he was benching a lot. I'm sure the Marine Corps would have taken him over calling me back to active duty. Okay? I'm sure of that. And on paper, I would put my money on him. But in reality, no. He could not have beaten me when he was 17 years old because he didn't have my level of combat training. The skills weren't there. And you know, not only that, this is something I tell my son all the time. Sometimes he'll ask me, well, do you think I'm a better fighter than you? And I'm like, well, technically, I do think you're probably a better fighter than me at this point. I still go through this. He's like, then he'll say, well, do you think I can beat you? I said, you should be able to beat me, but you probably can't because I trained you. What? I trained you. When you train the person, see, this is something that a lot of people probably just don't get. When a teacher trains a student, and that's been that only person's instructor, the instructor knows your weaknesses because they trained you. They've seen you come up from no skill to skill. So they know where you're weak. So even if you're technically better than them, they know how to exploit a weakness. It's just like with the computer system. If I worked at a company, right?
8. Push the off hook switch.
Why is this doing this?
Cancelled.
Okay. If I worked at a company, right? If I did security for the company, if I work on the inside and I learn the vulnerabilities of their network, I know how to exploit them. But if I just come from the outside trying to do brute force attacks, I'm probably not going to get into their network because I don't know what their weaknesses are. You know, it's just like somebody can get into somebody else's computer system if they know the password. If I know you and I know your weaknesses, I can exploit your weaknesses, therefore I can beat you. That dad in that boxing his son video, and I shouldn't even call it boxing. It should be he beats his son ridiculously for no good reason. He knows where his son's weak. He can beat the son. So he knows where the son's weak. He can beat him. They don't stand a chance. He's got at least 100 pounds on the son, if not more. He's a lot bigger than the son, so he can beat him. That son probably can't bench press more than that dad. I don't care if he is 17. That dude is huge. He's not some huge 95-year-old man who used to could box but can't move anymore without taking Advil. That father in that video he looks like he's under 40. So he's not in his absolute prime, but he's still on the upper tier of innate strength. So he can beat that boy, and there's nothing that boy can do about it. He's got the reach. By boxing rules, he's got the reach. So there's nothing constructive coming out of that encounter. Nothing. There's nothing constructive coming out of that encounter. And here again, I'm going to go back to the gender test. If a dad had beat his daughter to the point where her nose was bleeding because she played hooky, nobody would approve of it. But you know why people want to approve of it? Because it's a guy. And it's because of misandry. If you don't know what misandry is, you need to look it up. It's because of misandry. You think male lives are expendable. I would throw race in there too. But it's not necessarily just race in this instance. It's straight up just misandry. That's all it is. Because if it was a girl, even if when that white cop threw that black girl, and she didn't even get hurt as bad as this boy did, being jabbed and reversed a lot by his dad. Everybody was mad at the white cop. So every time you touch a female, everybody gets mad, see? But you can beat a boy like the boy broke in your house and tried to take your television. Or like the boy issued the challenge to the dad. Like the boy was going to the dad and saying, "Get out the gloves, Dad. I'm a man. Get out the glove, you old fool." I'm using these lame, insults because in a prospective employer or current employer to see this, I don't want to look like I'm out of my mind. So, "You old fool." Get the gloves. We're going at it. And, no, that didn't happen. So, people want context. Somebody else has said this. I think it was probably Patrice O'Neal that said that we've let context be destroyed. I'm sure he's probably not the only one that said that too. And we have let context be destroyed. We act like because we believe in corporal punishment, that means that any form of striking a child is fine. Any form. No. People want to act like they don't understand the degree to which the punishment was inflicted, the context, the circumstances. Like, because you think that it's okay to spank a child, that means you think it's okay to use that child as the punching bag in your personal boxing clinic. Right? Right? No. So that is all I have to say on this subject. That dad was wrong for beating that boy because he skipped school. Because he beat him. He didn't spank him. He didn't give him a harsh spanking. He didn't even smack him with an open hand or something like that. He just was mad at the boy and just used that boy and abused that boy to practice. And then he's going to take the video and put it online. Now, if you're going to do something disturbed, right, with your family, if you're going to smack them, choke them, knock them down, kick them, because that's my house. Why you got to put it on Facebook or World Star Hip Hop or whatever the heck? Why do you have to put it online? Him wanting to put that online, that was just the dad trying to make himself look good. Like, yeah, I keeps it real up in here. Look at me. Look at what a wonderful father I am. For the sake of respect for yourself and your child, when you discipline your child, this should be private. And you know how you know it should be private? Because if you were working at a job and your supervisor wanted to discipline you, the supervisors that you consider to be good supervisors discipline you in private out of respect for you as a human being. The bad supervisors discipline you in front of everyone else. Think about it. If you got disciplined at your job and your boss got on your case and you knew you were wrong, and he or she did it in the office, closed the door, closed the blinds, blah, 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 hand you the human resources form or whatever, or just told you, hey, you're skating on thin ice, one more infraction, you're done, right? You will have respect for that person. And then if they just came yelling at you while you're out at the dock or at the cash register in front of the customers or in front of your coworkers, you start screaming at you and talking down to you in front of everybody, you will feel that was what? You will feel that was disrespectful. And that's a stranger. That's not blood. So can we at least show our children at least the same amount of respect that we would show a stranger? I don't care what kind of art family you want. I don't care if you're a boxing family, a kung fu family, a judo family, a taekwondo family, an aikido family. It doesn't matter. So since I, do taekwondo, I guess I should have been roundhouse kicking my kids in the head, especially with the spinning back hook kick, right? Whenever they acted up. And not to say that I never spanked my children. Not only that, if I'm going to do it, videotape it and put it on World Star, right? That's what I should have been doing. Oh, one of them is still a minor, and it's my daughter. I bet if I did that to my daughter, there'd be no bail. It probably wouldn't even make, I'd have been gone. Just like that. So you folks who want to say what's wrong with kids is that they don't get beat enough. That's not what's wrong with kids. What's wrong with kids these days is what's been wrong with humanity ever since we were created by God. It is that we have a flesh and we walk in the flesh over walking in the spirit. That's what's wrong with us. That's what we need to work on. Since I'm going against the grain of some people, I'm going to just go all the way against the grain. If that boy had Jesus in his life, and if the father had Jesus in their life, I'm not going to say he never would have ever possibly used physical punishment, but he darn sure would not be posting it to World Star Hip Hop for the world to see. Peace.